Unbeaten light heavyweight contender Anthony Yarde from London in the United Kingdom will take on an individual named Richard Baranyi at the Copper Box Arena this Saturday. They will be fighting for the WBO European light heavyweight title. I had a quick look on YouTube at this Baranyi guy. He is, I believe, from, let me double check here. He's from Hungary. He looks like a cross, physically, he looks like a cross between, I don't know, maybe Andre Fonfara and Carl Froch. And he fights like a poor version of a Carl Froch. Not even a poor version. A homeless man's version. Not a poor man's version, a homeless man's version of Carl Froch. That's how this Richard Baranyi guy actually fights. He has a decent record on paper. It's 18-1 with 12 KOs. But a quick glance at the names on his record and the location of all of his fights, and you realize that he's fought absolutely appalling opposition through those 19 fights. And all of his fights up until now have been in his native Hungary. I'm not sure how high the level of competition is in Hungary. I suspect it's quite low. The one loss on Richard Baranyi's record came back in 2015. He was knocked out in the 4th round against a guy called Pablo Sosa, who had a record of 3 wins, 4 losses, and 3 draws. Just to put things in perspective. So even though on paper, if you just quickly look at the win-loss column of Anthony Yarde's opponent, you would think this is a decent step up. In reality, if you've actually seen the guy fight and you've analyzed his boxing record, this should be pretty much a walk in the park for Anthony Yarde. He is a precocious talent. He has picked up the sport incredibly quickly. However, recently I've been watching some of Anthony Yarde's training footage, seeing him and his team in the gym. They're very enthusiastic. I'm not sure whether their approach in terms of this cheerleader type approach that they have in the gym with Anthony Yarde is necessarily the best approach. I understand that he didn't have many amateur fights and they want to build his confidence and his self-belief, but you don't want to give him a full sense of confidence. This is a guy who had very few amateur fights. He's had very few pro fights. You want to give him confidence, but at the same time, you want to make him work for that confidence too. You want to make him do stuff in the gym against good level fighters in sparring and do stuff in the ring against decent level fighters before you really start pushing his confidence and cheerleading him. I know there are top fighters like Mayweather and all kinds of other people who have these kind of cheerleaders in their training camp who are, whooping and hollering and cheering them on and all that kind of stuff. Muhammad Ali famously had Bundy Brown in his training camp. But with those guys, before they had all those cheerleaders in their camps, they had their nose to the grindstone. And they were just, as Tyson Fury would describe it, another bare bum in the shower. They didn't have all those cheerleaders around them gassing their heads up. They had to work their way up to that position. Whereas Anthony Yarde seems to have all these cheerleaders around him and he hasn't done anything yet. I'm not sure from a psychological point of view if that's going to be healthy for Anthony Yarde in the long run. I could be wrong, but I personally would rather see a bit more expectation, a bit more critique from his team of their fighter. Anthony Joshua is trained by Robert McCracken. Robert McCracken is very harsh on Anthony Joshua. Joshua said he was riding the crest of a wave after he knocked out Vladimir Klitschko. All types of congratulations were coming to him from left, right and center, from the fans, people in the street, friends and family, so on and so forth. When he got back in the gym, he said Robert McCracken said, "No, you were shit in that fight. We got loads to work on." And Joshua responds well to that kind of criticism. It's not like McCracken's always telling him that everything he does is rubbish, but it's a mixture of criticizing him when he feels he needs to and bigging him up when he feels it's necessary. I feel that Anthony Yarde, I haven't seen that in his team. Maybe it's there. Maybe they just don't do it on camera. Could be the case. But I am a little concerned about them gassing the head up of a young man who is a precocious talent, but hasn't done anything yet. I don't want them to make him overconfident to the point where he believes his own hype and has an unrealistic view of himself in his head, because that's when a fighter can actually stop developing at the rate that they should be developing. If they think they're better than they really are, they're not necessarily not going to push themselves in terms of working hard and working on your stamina, but thinking for themselves from a technical point of view. Are my trainers teaching me the right things from a technical point of view? Am I sparring good enough quality guys? So on and so forth. So anyway, I'll leave the video there. Just some food for thought. Anthony Yarde should be able to dispatch of this Richard Baranyi guy with relative ease. I mean, he does have, as I say, 18 wins on his record and 12 knockouts. So he's not a complete joker. He has beaten some people with winning records, Richard Baranyi, including in his last fight, which is the fight in which he won the WBO European light heavyweight title. But still, if you go and watch him for yourselves, you'll be struggling to make a case for this guy beating Anthony Yarde. Let me know how you feel in the comment section below, people. It's happening. I'm out.